The following is a paid program. The views and opinions expressed don't necessarily reflect those of NCI-FM.
Welcome to Speaking Up with Jessica Dumas. I'm a certified life coach that specializes in business, leadership, and all things speaking and confidence mindset. Let's chat. Hey, NCI friends and fam, how's it going? It must be Thursday. Tomorrow's the weekend. Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone that was sunshine in human form? Have you ever heard that before? What a sweet question. Like, imagine the compliment of, yeah, you being that person. Have you ever met someone that was sunshine in human form? I thought that was a beautiful way to start our message today. I want to talk a little bit about body language because this is something that I talk about in my confident speaking, one-day public speaking course. It's something that you can find more information on my website at jessicadumas.ca. This is my number one favorite workshop to do. I go in to do this workshop and I tell everyone, this is my favorite workshop. We're going to have so much fun. And we always have so much fun. And we talk about body language because in communication, body language is like the number one point of impact. Of course, and I mentioned this before on the show, is if you're listening through radio, that's going to change a little bit. The tone of voice is going to make a bigger impact, but also the words that you use. And actually, the words that you use are only 7% of the way that we communicate. So it's a very little amount of impact. Sound and tone are much higher, but body language is much higher. And of course, I can't see you and you can't see me, so you don't know what kind of body language that I'm using. But I will tell you that I'm fully engaged. And I know that I'm coming across in a really engaging way because that is my intention. So I want to talk a little bit about body language, your feelings, your intentions, and how we literally project with our body language. And so this is going to be important to you if you want to be successful, if you want to be successful in relationships with people, and that could be friendships, business relationships, as an entrepreneur, as just somebody out in the community. If you want to have success in communication, then your body language is going to be very, very important. And I'm often talking to entrepreneurs. And if you're an entrepreneur and you are recruiting for your business and you're spreading the word of the services that you offer, your body language is going to be huge. Now, as a speaker coach, I have the pleasure of having many opportunities to listen to people speak on stage. And there's so many components to actually being a speaker, especially a really good, engaging, captivating speaker, which is what we all want. Put your hand up if you've been to a boring meeting. Put your hand up if you've sat through a boring presentation. Like, we don't want that anymore. So if you have a message and you want to get it across to any single person, which we do, because I believe that we're meant to be around others. We are meant to communicate. We are meant to have relationships. I think it's just that we're in a society that puts us into situations that we don't always want to be in, which I think can cause people to not want to be around a lot of people all the time. I don't know. I want to tell you a story about a time when I was working in a call center. I worked at Manitoba Hydro out of high school, and one of the jobs that I had was working in the call center. And you know, when you phone a business and you're waiting on hold and they tell you that your call is going to be recorded for training purposes, I always thought that was a joke, right? Like, training what? What are they training? It doesn't make any sense. But I learned what it was because I was the person answering the call. And at the end of the day or sometime throughout the week, my supervisor called me into their office. I had no idea what this was about. And he sat me down and said, I listened to one of your calls this week and I wanted to go over it with you. You can imagine the terror, like, oh no, what did I say? What did I do? But it was really great feedback. And so, as I said, this was my first job out of high school, and people were phoning the call center. You tell me, why do you call the call center? Usually because your bill is so high. And like that was like the number one reason that they had a call center, is explaining why your bill was so high. But on this particular call that I received, someone was phoning because they had a meter reader come to their door, and the person didn't look like they were wearing a company uniform, and they were just really concerned because the person wasn't driving a company vehicle either. And so they were phoning to say, is this actually a person that works with you? Should I actually let them in to read the meter? And I didn't have the answer when I answered the call, but I asked them some questions, and I wanted to let them know that we want to make sure that they're safe. Thank you for calling. Let me see what I can find out for you. And then I went and found out the information I shared with this person, that it actually was a reader for the company. And many of them use their own vehicles. And I don't remember the situation with their uniform, because they probably should have been wearing a uniform. Anyway, it was a good call. I felt good about it. I kind of forgot about it. But as I listened back, I was like, what is he going to say to me, this supervisor? What is he going to... Am I in trouble? Like, that's what I was thinking. But in fact, I wasn't in trouble. He complimented me on the way that I was engaging with this person over the phone, and the way that I was using my voice, that I was really expressing my concern, and that the customer could feel it through the tone of my voice. And he told me that he could tell that I was smiling over the phone. And that was my first experience with really understanding and experiencing communication. Of course, again, body language, even though that's what I'm talking about today, body language you couldn't tell over the phone, and you can't see my body language over the radio, or if you're listening to a podcast or anything like that. But because my intention is coming through the way that I'm communicating and the way that it was received in that call, it was a really good experience for the customer. And I got really good feedback on that call. And so it was just a really interesting lesson for me when it comes to body language. It's going to be received as long as that's your intention. And again, why is this important? I'm going to speak to entrepreneurs. I'm going to speak to people who want to be professional speakers, or anyone who wants to show up and have your professionalism and your presence respected. Because what happens to your body when you walk into a space that you're maybe unfamiliar with? This is, again, one of the exercises that we cover in my confident speaking workshop. And it's really fun to imagine walking into a conference room that's already filled, or you walk into maybe a brand new store, or just a busy store, or just a place where there's a lot of other people. The first thing that's going to happen to our bodies if we're not comfortable is we're going to freeze up. Our bodies are going to stiffen, and sometimes our neck is a little restricted when we're trying to look around. And if you are someone who is on stage making a presentation, and earlier I mentioned I have the opportunity to watch and listen to speakers do presentations many times, and I can tell when they're not comfortable on the stage. And first of all, I want to say that's okay, because being on stage isn't really a normal thing. I mean, it's a normal thing, but it's not a really common thing. Many of us get into it because we have this idea or this message that we want to share and show up and present, but there's so many things that come with it, with getting your talk structured in a proper way, presenting in a way that's really open and engaging, and your body language is going to have a lot to do with that. So here are some things that I want to give you to just become more aware of your body language, and remember that the message that you're trying to get across, whether it's a simple good morning or a conversation or a sales call or a presentation, how you're feeling and what your intentions are literally going to be projected. How you're feeling and what your intentions are literally going to be projected out. And your body language is how you're going to carry that out first, because people are going to recognize and they're going to see your body language before you do anything. Like people don't usually walk into a room and they're already talking and sharing a message, right? We have time where we see people, we see each other with our eyes, and immediately our brains are making judgments on what we think of this person. And appearance is one thing. We want to make sure that we're showing up looking our best wherever we go. But it also means how we're going to carry ourselves. And so in order to start to loosen up our body language so that we're not feeling stiff and restricted because of being in an unfamiliar place, you can do some simple things like just shaking your body. And I literally mean that. Standing up and just shaking your body, maybe doing some jumping, shaking your hands, shaking your arms and your shoulders, your hips, like really, really shaking up your body. This is going to loosen up some of that tension. And even though we might not think of doing that when we're tense, it might sound like something that's like way too simple, but that's why we need to do it. We need to continuously shake and like move our body, not continuously. You know what I'm talking about. The other thing that you can do is if you are on your way somewhere, again, if you're doing a presentation, if you're going to have a meeting, an interview, a date even, you want to put on some music and maybe dance, like move your body around. We're definitely in a society that really, like, we're in situations where we're uncomfortable and we don't feel free to express ourselves and our bodies are restricted. So just dance, move your body around. And this one is specifically for you if you are doing a talk or a presentation, a monologue. And actually, you know what? Anytime you need to pump yourself up with a little bit of confidence and freedom in your body, you're going to do that shake, you're going to do the dance, but you're also going to do the superwoman stance or the superman stance, whatever you choose, or the super they stance. What you're going to do is you're going to stand tall as you can. I'm only 5'2", that's as tall as I can stand. But when people meet me, they always say, I thought you'd be bigger, which I think is a really cute compliment. Standing tall with your hands on your hips, your feet shoulder width apart, and your chin up. And when you do this, it's taking some deep breaths. It's recognizing that this space that I'm in, I can take up this space. I am worthy of being here. I know what I'm doing here. I choose to be here. This is where I want to be. I feel good. I feel strong. And just hold that stance and take some really deep breaths. Your body language, the way that we communicate, is so important, especially if you are going for success, if you are looking to maintain relationships, build new relationships in any capacity. You have to be very aware of the intention that you're putting out, the feelings that you're feeling, because that's literally what's being projected to others. Thanks so much for spending time with me, and I can't wait to chat with you again next week. Check me out on Instagram at jessicadumas.ca. Thank you so much for your time. Miigwech, ekose, merci. Get in touch with me on Instagram or my website at jessicadumas.ca.